Okay, good morning. So we're up to Siman Reish Ches Tzadi 298. We're working through the halachas of the ner of Havdala, the candle used for Havdala. So we're up to Sif Gimel. Nagim listakel b'chapos hayodayim b'tzipranayim. So the minhag is you look at your nails and the palm of your hand to get the benefit of the light. Says the Ramah, v'yesh liros b'tziparnei yad yamin, to look at the nails of your right hand, v'lechois hakos b'yad small. So whilst you're holding, we discussed it, you hold the kos in the right hand, and then you put it in the left hand, whilst you take the besamim in the right hand, and then you put the besamim down, or you give them to the others, and then you make the brach of borei me'or ha'esh, and then you inspect your nails, and he's going to say you hold it, you fold it in. And then so you sort of fold your fingers into your palm, because then you're seeing sort of the contrast between the nails and the flesh of your palm. And you're not looking at the insides of your fingers. So again, you're holding the kos in your right hand, you put it into your left hand, you've got the besamim in the right hand, you make the brach of the besamim, and then you make the brach of borei me'or ha'esh, and to fold the fingers into the palm, and you see the difference between the nails and the palm, the flesh and the nail. Okay, so it says the Mishnah Berurah, Nagim listakel hatam. The reason is that the Gemara says you've got to see enough light that you can benefit, that you can distinguish between different coins. The Gemara is going to, as the Mishnah is going to say, as the Mechab is going to say. And therefore the minhag is to look at your fingers or your nails, to ascertain whether you can benefit from the light, and to differentiate between two different coins. Just like I can distinguish between the nail and the flesh, well, therefore that's a siman that I can be able to distinguish between different coins. Another reason why we look at the nails on during Havdala, they are a sign of bracha. Why? Shehein paras v'rovos la'olam. They regularly grow. And we also look at the palm of the hands, which have got lines and crevices in them. I suppose either, I don't know if it's palm reading, but I think it's more of the sort of yagias kapecha, ashrecha v'toivloch. It's a siman of work and productivity, I think. Okay, lichvei so the minhag is to fold. When you look at your fingernails, you fold, says the Ramah, you fold your fingers into your palm. In other words, you're bringing it in, and you're doing it like that. So you're folding it in. Some go like that, and then sort of look, sort of stretch them out again, and look at the nails in that way. Okay, good. That's Sif Gimel. Dalet. You only make the brach on the ner when you can benefit from its light. It's got to be sufficiently close to you so that you can differentiate between the coin of this place, of this country, and the coin of another country. So I can tell the difference between a pound coin and a dime and a dollar or something. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Dalet, Sif Yud Beis, Sif Kot Yud Beis, you've got to be close enough. Now, even if you're standing quite far away, so long as you can see the light, you can benefit from the light from a distance. Then that's considered you're benefiting from the light and you can make the bracha. But I can differentiate. If somebody else is making Havdala, and you want to be Yotze, the brach of borei me'or ha'esh, you've got to get close enough that you can get some sort of benefit from the actual light. So, first of all, the minhag is in many homes, we have it certainly in our home, excuse me, to turn the lights off during Havdala. So, how does that help? Do you have to turn the lights off or not? Do you do that? No? Oh, yeah, we've always done that. So what is that about? L'chayra is so that you can, or certainly just before the brach of Ber Me'areish, but we turn out throughout the whole thing. So the idea is that it will help you get benefit from the lights. That now I can see that it's just this light which is shining, and therefore I can get the benefit. But you don't have to turn the lights off. You look at the footnote 12, which is at the back of the Sefer, page 26. He quotes there, Miloshen zu mashma, yesh sheyuchel lahakir. So he says, Miloshen zu mashma, shedai b'ma shenimtza somach la'or ba'ofen sheyuchel lahakir bein matbe'ah le'matbe'ah. The implication is that so long as you're sufficiently close to the candle that I could differentiate between one coin and another, that's enough. Even though lemaisa, I'm not benefiting from the light of this specific candle, that I've got to be able to, that's all. And therefore, for example, if the electric lights are on, and therefore I could see the difference between the two coins, and therefore it's not practically making any difference, but since I'm technically able to, that's sufficient. So in other words, in practice, I'm not getting the benefit from the light of the candle, but it's just that I've got to be near enough that I would be able to if I needed to. And therefore the Chazon Ish was knowing not to turn the lights off. B'shas bracha birchas ber me'areish. And v'chein noag gon the stipler as well. And even those people who are noeg to turn the lights off during Havdalah, or certainly during the bracha, yeah, you obviously on Yantav you can't. Okay, now back to page 146, which is just footnote number 13. He just says, regarding, just at the end of the Mishnah Berurah says, so he refers you back. So over there he says in footnote 13, if you are very far away from the lights and someone is being moitzi you in Havdalah, you've got like a big shul event or something, and the Rav is making Havdalah, and you're far away, so what should you do? Just have in mind not to be yaitz at the bracha of Ber Me'areish, and then after Havdalah go closer when now you're able to, and make the bracha on the candle yourself. Okay, Sif Hey. Ein mevarchen al haneh shelo shavas mimeleches aveira. You're not allowed to use a candle which has been lit over Shabbos. In other words, they haven't rested from melacha. La fukei shehudluk lechaya ulechayla. That excludes a candle or light which was used for the benefit of a chaya, a lady giving birth, or lechayla. Shekivin shlehudluk laveira mevarchen alof, because that was not lit in aveira. That was lit in a permitted way, and therefore you can use that. But if the non-Jewish person lit the candle on Shabbos, if the Yisrael had, since the Jew would have lit that candle, he would have violated Hilchos Shabbos. Therefore, it's considered lo shavas meleches avera mikri. It's not considered resting from melacha, and therefore you don't use a candle that was lit on Shabbos unless it was lit for a chaya or for a chayla. And nor can you use a candle which was lit for idolatrous purposes. Okay, it says in Mishnah Berurah Yudalet, Ein mevarchin, va'afilu b'di'eved lo yotza. Even b'di'eved you're not yotza. If you use the candle which was lit on Shabbos, or use a candle shelo shavas that didn't rest from doing melacha, hainu shehudlik be'issa b'Shabbos, i.e., it was lit be'issa on Shabbos. Va'afilu rak be'bein hashmoshes, even if it was only on bein hashmoshes. L'chaya chayla, masha'inkein, if it was lit for a chaya or for a chayla, that would be okay. Im ein bohem sakona, that's only if it was ein bohem sakona, dafka alidein yudi. Because if there's no sakona involved, then you can only do it by way of an ein yehudi. Aval alidei Yisrael, kimin she'os lehadlik b'shvilom, mikri shelo shavos melech zavera. If the chaya and the chayla were not in danger then you should light the candle by way of a non-Jewish person, but not a Jewish person. And therefore, if you've got a candle lit by a Jewish person for a choyle, for example, who is not b'sakana, then you cannot use that candle on Motzei Shabbos. But if the chaya or the choyle are in sakana, afilu alidei Yisrael, then you can even light it through a Jewish person. For kol shkein alidei ein Yehudi, ve'ein chiluk beinim hidlik lechoyle b'meduras Yisrael or meduras shel atzma yikim shu l'tzarech Yisrael or behetza hudluk. So then it does make a difference. Good. Yud Zayin. If midliku ein Yehudi, hainu afilu l'tzarech atzma, then you're not allowed to. B'Shabbos, if the non-Jewish person on Motzei Shabbos has got a candle, we assume that he lit it on Shabbos, and therefore, even though he's got no restrictions on Shabbos, and the non-Jewish person can light the candle, nonetheless, that's considered the candle didn't rest on Shabbos, and therefore we don't use that candle on Motzei Shabbos. Nor can we use a candle which was lit for idolatrous purposes. Says the Mishnah Berurah Yotes, "Va'afilu lo yehudlak rak b'Motzei Shabbos." Even if it was only lit on Motzei Shabbos, i.e. after Shabbos, still we don't use a candle which was lit for idolatrous purposes. Vatam mishum tehudlak l'kavod avodas kilulim. It was lit for the benefit of avodah zarah, va'osad lehonas mimenu, and therefore you can't get benefit from it. V'davka kasher hashalheves kashura b'ner. But it's only a problem if the flame is still attached to that candle, or a coal of avodah zarah. Since the gacheles, the coal, has mamoshes, is tangible, and the flame is connected to it, the is of avodah zarah attaches itself to the flame as well, and therefore you don't make a bracha on it. But if Yisrael takes a flame from his Havdala candle, from that avodah zarah candle, then shari levarach aleh, that would be okay. All you've got is the flame, and therefore you haven't got the candle of avodah zarah, and therefore that would be okay. Because the shalheves is not tangible. The Prima Godim, however, concludes to Mikal Malkam lechatchila asal Yisrael lahadlik nerim minesh galulim eladim hidlik rishai levarach aleh ayin sham. The Prima Godim says, but it's not a good thing to do, even in that situation where you're just taking the flame from that avodah zarah candle with your own candle. It's better to avoid it. If you did it, then rishai levarach aleh. Okay, good. Sif Vav. Any Yehudi shehedlik b'Motzei Shabbos Yisrael. Now, if a non-Jewish person lit a candle from a Jewish candle on that was lit on Shabbos, a Yisrael me'en Yehudi, or a Yisrael lights it from an Ein Yehudi, mevarchin olav, you can make a bracha on that. Avol, Ein Yehudi shehedlik ben Yehudi, ein mevarchin olav. But if a non-Jewish person lights the candle from a non-Jewish person, ein mevarchin olav, we don't make a bracha on that. Of a Motzei Yom Kippurim, ein mevarchin al ner shehedlik Yisrael me'en Yehudi. And on Yom Kippur, Motzei Yom Kippur, you don't make a bracha on a candle which even a Yisrael lit from an Ein Yehudi. Vayin lekam siman tofresh Havdala seif hey. Now, to explain this mechaba, we need to understand that in those days, the candles were everywhere. So that's how there was no electricity. So therefore, this was very motzui. Nowadays, it's not very motzui, and you just strike a match and you light a candle on Motzei Shabbos. But the background is, of course, that lights. That was the main way in which a house was illuminated, and therefore it was very motzui. So let's take a look at the Mishnah Berurah. Sif Kotzen Chof Shehidlik Motzei Shabbos Yisrael. So a candle that a Jewish person lit from a non-Jewish candle, if you like, on Shabbos, that was lit on Shabbos, that's okay. For Kamash V'Lom Bazeh, and the Chiddush here is, after in Mevarchin Allah Shehidlik en Yehudi men Yehudi, even though, as we just said, you can't light a candle that was lit, you can't make a bracha, at Havdala, from a candle that was lit by a non-Jewish person who took it from another non-Jewish person's candle that was lit on Shabbos. After Motzei Shabbos, even though it was lit on Motzei Shabbos, Beheta, Uchad Lekame, Hasam there, it's Mishum the Gazrinon, Otu Yehudi, Rishon Shehudika B'Shabbos. There we make a Gezeira, Otu Yehudi Rishon, the first Jewish person who lit it on Shabbos. Shelo Yavorech Olav Al Oirei. You should make a bracha, you shouldn't come to make a bracha Al Oirei. Avad Hacha, Lo Shaykh Zeh, Ulekach Mutter. But a non-Jewish person who lit it from a non-Jewish person's candle, there's no rule, there's no reason to make a problem, to make a gezeira over there. We're talking about whether the second non-Jewish person lit it from a first non-Jewish person, but that original non-Jewish person was not part of a Mesiba en Yehudi, because if it was, the Laf Hachi Amrinan, some Mesibas over the Gelulim, Lavodis Gelulim, because in those days we're worried that he's lit it for idolatrous purposes. For Osel Lavorech Alaner, and therefore you can't make a bracha. Uchad Elbasim and Reish Sali Zayin Seif based in Besamim. Yisrael men Yehudi, or alternatively, the Yisrael lit it from a non-Jewish person, Hainu, Afilu im ha'in Yehudi hidlik haneh sheloi b'Shabbos afilu ha'chishari. Even though the guy lit it on Shabbos, and on Motzei Shabbos the Yisrael takes the flame from him, that would be okay. Even though the original flame was lit on Shabbos, because when the Jewish person takes it, it's sort of adding light to it, shel heta, and I'm therefore making the bracha on the Tosefes Ur. Avol, Sif Kotan Chaf Beis, Ein Yehudi Shehidlik. If a non-Jewish person takes it from another non-Jewish person, that we don't say, we don't allow. We don't say that I'm making it on the extra light that was added on Motzei Shabbos to Gozru Oto Ein Yehudi Rishon, because we make a Gzeira als the first one. Even though technically speaking, I could make a bracha on the first the first lighting of the non-Jewish person, because the Motzei Shabbos, it's now considered a hetatic light. The miteva ha'esh lios netoiseval of tomid chodosh, because that's the nature of fire. It sort of like regenerates itself, and therefore it's like a new flame. Nevertheless, we make a gezeira otu the first one. The real concern is that you might make a bracha on the Havdala candle immediately after Shabbos, where it's not had an opportunity yet to create like sort of new flame. For Kosovo Magen Avram, to B'diavad Yotze B'zeh, but even B'diavad Yor Yotze, B'der Ve'en Sorach Lachsa Levorich, came into Ein Ele Mishum Gezer, the whole thing is a Gezer, V'chein Kosru Shachronim, other Achronim say the same thing. Okay, I'll summarize it all in a second. Ein Mevarchin Olav, this is going on a Motzei Yom Kippur. So Motzei Yom Kippur we said is different, and Ein Mevarchin even on a Ner Shehidlik Yisrael Me'en Yehudi, which on Shabbos would be okay, but on Yom Kippur is different. Why? It says the Mishnah Burim, if a non-Jewish person rubbed stones together or wood together and created a fire, there you're allowed to. Why? We're not worried. We're making any gezerah kan. But if an Yehudi made lit a candle from there, then it's worth being machmir. You should be machmir to osi lemachmir fulhatze gam ner shehudlik b'ner sheloi Shabbos, because you might come to use a ner sheloi Shabbos. But if it was created on Motzei Shabbos by rubbing two stones together or striking the match on Motzei Shabbos, then that would be okay. If the guy did it, ein mevarchin al ner mipnei she'orish len Yehudi nasa b'melacha, because if the non-Jewish person did it on Yom Kippur itself, he did melacha shehudlik b'yom Kippurim. He lit it on Yom Kippur. After Motzei Shabbos, mevarchin al ner zen. Even though Motzei Shabbos we do make a bracha on this candle. Hasam hatam. The reason is shemevarch al tosefes shel heves, because we're making a bracha on the extra flame. Ashel hetza shenitoisef al yedei hadlokas Yisrael, that was caused by the Jewish lighting. V'tosefes hazeh kiven shu nolid achshav, since it was created now. Havelei kuur hayotzim yeitzim avonim b'Motzei Shabbos t'mutar levarich olav. Mashen came Motzei Yom Kippur, mevur lekamin b'sif ches the ein mevarchin al ur hayotzim yeitzim v'avonim. You've got to use on Motzei Yom Kippur a ner sheshavas that was lit on Shabbos, and because we show the difference that on Yom Kippur I couldn't use this, and now on Motzei Yom Kippur I can. Okay, so just to summarize, again, it's not very motzui, because we just take a match and light the candle on Motzei Shabbos. But the bottom line is that if an Ein Yehudi, a non-Jewish person, lights on Motzei Shabbos from a candle that was lit by Yisrael, or the other way around, Yisrael lights from a candle that was lit by a non-Jewish person, that was okay because there's Tosefes Ur on Motzei Shabbos. However, an Ein Yehudi, Shehidlik Ben Yehudi, that we don't allow. Masha'enken on Motzei Yom Kippur, Masha'enken on Yom Kippur, we don't even allow that, because we want to have a ner which was Shavas that was lit throughout Shabbos. Let's just do a couple more sifim. They're very short. Zayin. Okay, if a person was going out of town, Motzei Shabbos, and he sees a light. Now again, in those days, these were sort of flames, not sort of electric lights. In Ruben Einam Yehudim, if the town is majority non-Jewish, Ein Mevarchin Olav. In Ruben Yisrael, but if it's majority Jewish, Ayafilu Mechza, or even 50-50, Mevarchin Olav, says the Mishnah Berurah, V'Talinin Sha'ar Shel Yisrael. Because we assume it was a Jewish light, you're getting close enough to it that you could benefit from the light, like we said previously in Sif Dalet. Because I suppose if it was majority non-Jewish, then it was lit for perhaps idolatrous purposes or things like that. Light that comes out of wood or stones, you can make a brach on that. Avamotzi Kippurin ein mevarchin olav, like we just said. Says the Mishnah Berurah, mevarchin olav lefishe gam techilas brias ha'ar ha'ibimotzei Shabbos. Because at the end of the day, the purpose of light making Havdala on Motzei Shabbos with the candle, we use a candle, is to commemorate the fact that light was created on Motzei Shabbos. He took two stones and rubbed them together, and that is not relevant on Motzei Yom Kippur, which is not always on a Motzei Shabbos. It's a different reason, because that's not commemorating the initial creation of fire. And the reason for making a bracha on Motzei Yom Kippur is the whole day on Yom Kippur you couldn't use it, and now you can. Therefore, we want to show we're making a bracha on the flame that rested and that was not used throughout Yom Kippur. It rested on Yom Kippur, because I couldn't use it the whole of Yom Kippur, and now it's mutter. Okay, let's just do Tes and Yud. Tes gecholim habayar is kolkach. If you've got coals which are burning, she'ilu machnis kisom beineim. If you took a little bit of a straw or something like that, and you touched it on the coal, it would light up. Mavarchin aleihem. You can make a broch on coals. How about that? Ner Havdala on a coal fire. So long as it was there to illuminate. Says Mishnah Berurah Tes Lahair. But if it was only meant for heating and not for lighting, not for illumination, you cannot make it on the coal. But because with a candle as well, you can only make it if it's for illumination and not for any other purpose. And finally, Yud Urshel Kivshon, the light of a furnace. But when you fire up the bricks, you don't make a brach on that, because that's not made for illumination purposes. However, once it's burnt, and it is for illumination, then you can make a bracha on it. Okay, say it.